Hello YouTube, it is Championdjk coming at you again with another video, and today we're going to take a look at some Tarmac Works. Tarmac Works is kind of an interesting brand because they, really looking at them, they've got a lot of variety in kind of like toolings and castings and different brands that they kind of collab with and work with, and there's just kind of a lot going on with Tarmac Works. Within themselves, they have like all these little weird little series. Like this is a Road 64. They've got Race 64, which I don't have here. Global 64. Whatever this is, not really sure. They got the J collection. Just some weird kind of mix match kind of stuff. Where I think they use quite often they use toolings that are developed by possibly someone else, not actually Tarmac Works, and then they use the toolings. I think that goes on sometimes. Some of the times that's advertised as a collaboration, like the stuff with Schuco and stuff like that, and sometimes it isn't. And I'm curious really with these J collection cars once we get into those. They've been out for a while. I just haven't picked any up until now, so we're going to take a peek at them and kind of check it out. And then, of course, we've got Road 64, I've got that Global, and I've got this Honda Civic SP1, which we will get to as well. I think actually what I'm going to start with is this Road 64 Datsun 510 Tanto by Daniel Wu. Pretty neat. So, Kaito House actually did one of these, obviously in the Kaito style. By the way, Tarmac Works, I believe all their stuff is licensed. I don't think there's any licensing issues with any of their stuff as far as I'm aware. So, my favorite line is definitely Global 64. Those ones are very much like Mini GT in construction, and I'm a big fan of Mini GT if you watch this channel. So, let's take a look at this thing. We'll start out with this. It's a Datsun 510. Packaging looks pretty nice. Looks pretty good. Oh yeah, the Road 64 and Race 64 do come up with a card like this that tells you that's individually numbered. Okay, so it just certifies that this is a limited edition model, and you can see what number it is. Now, it doesn't tell you what number it's out of, so it doesn't tell you how many they produced, but you do know what number is yours. So here is Tanto, the Datsun 510. Got a nice looking base here. The car itself looks pretty cool. The only thing that, I don't know, the caulking lines, I guess, or whatever, of the little fender flares look a little bit drawn on, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and get this thing off of the base. So this is going to be really like a 1/64 scale 510, which means it's tiny because the real 510 is tiny. One thing with Road 64 and like Race 64 or whatever, typically they don't really care if they roll or not. This one is not a roller. It is screwed together. You might be able to mess with it a bit to get it to roll, but we're not going to do that here. But yeah, this one does not roll. Completely static display. No opening features on this one. But Tarmac has had some vehicles that have had opening features as well. The side mirrors, or hood mirrors, whatever you want to call them, are a harder plastic. I really do like the look of this car. It's a cream color with that like copper accents. And I think it looks pretty awesome. It's like a brown copper. Looks really cool. So this one actually has a roll cage in it as well. It's got that little wing on the back there, too. Pretty good-looking taillights. They look pretty decent. And all in all, I think this is a pretty good model. If, rolling is important to you, obviously you're not going to like this one. This one does have a plastic base. Rubber tires, of course, metal body. Paint quality seems to be very nice, very good. And again, it doesn't roll. Maybe you could use it as an eraser. With the tires. But yeah, so not a roller. Still a pretty cool model. And I'm digging that. All right. Then we've got Global 64. Let's go ahead and open up that. Maybe. This one's shrink wrapped. So these ones are very much mini GT in the way that they are constructed. So almost makes you wonder. All right, so, and typically I really like the Global 64 line. At least some of them have been very much mini GT. This one may not be. I don't know. We'll find out. So this is the Opel Kadett GSI. So we've got a box with a clamshell in it that holds the car. Definitely a great way of packaging these cars because you have a place to store the car, an efficient little box for the car, and I really like that. So this one I don't think actually, yeah, this is not going to be like mini GT in construction. Just a lot of the Global 64 ones are. This one's not. This one rolls. It's got separate pieces up there for the wiper blades. We've got inserted details up front, a little bit of a mess up there with the paint, the black paint that they used for the inside of that grill. Spattered a little bit, it looks like. Rear looks real good. Base on this one is plastic. It is riveted together. This one does have the hole, so it could be screwed down to a base if they wanted it to be. And overall, it's pretty nice. So it's just interesting, right? Because you got both Tarmac Works. You got this tooling right here. It's screwed together. It does have a plastic base. It's got Tarmac Works on the bottom. A bunch more details and all that stuff. And then you have this one that it's riveted to the base, but it's also a plastic base, metal body. It's kind of interesting. It just makes me wonder, they just work with some but they must use more than one factory, I would assume, to make this stuff. And it's just weird that some of the castings are constructed differently than others. It's not a consistent thing like you would see for a brand that uses the same manufacturer for all their toolings and all of that jazz. So which makes me think that they do like lease or license toolings from other companies. I can't prove that, but that is my hunch as to what is going on. And not that that's a bad thing or a good thing or whatever. The nice thing is that it gives them a nice variety of cars, and they're not married to exactly one way of constructing them. I have a feeling these J collection ones are going to be very similar to how this is constructed. We'll see. We'll see when we get them open. We're going to do those, I guess, last. We'll do this Honda Civic, which I think might actually be the same deal. Not entirely sure. So this one, I guess, is special. It says this first generation Honda Civic has a very special meaning to me and my family, and that's Felix Kwong, who is the founder of Tarmac Works. So I think there's a picture. That might be him as a baby there. I'm not sure. I didn't read it, but I'm assuming that's like his mom. And, you know, he said he's dedicating this model to his parents. So I'm assuming his parents had this first-gen Civic. So that's why this one is special to him. And it does come in a special kind of box. So a little bit different. This is kind of reminiscent of a Kyosho box almost, if you're familiar with that brand. Almost reminiscent. It's not quite. And then, so this one does have a clamshell inside with our little Civic in there. Little tiny car. And of course, 1/64 scale. This is going to be a tiny car. Little Civic. All right. So, yeah, and like this one, we have a riveted together car. And it is part of the J collection. So that makes sense. So these are going to be all kind of constructed the same. It makes me almost wonder if these toolings were Kyoshos originally. That's kind of the feeling that I get. I know that's probably not the case, but I mean, nobody's using those toolings. So, and there's a bunch of really good ones. Why wouldn't you go after it? You know what I mean? It does feel like these are Kyosho. This is what it feels like. If you've had Kyosho in your collection, You know what I'm talking about. And I could be way off, okay? Because I don't have any duplicates. Like, I don't have any versions of either of these cars in a Kyosho to, like, prove it or anything like that. It's just, that's kind of the feeling I get with these. Again, I could be completely wrong. Honda. Very cool. So, pretty well detailed. The mirrors are going to be a little bit fragile, so you got to be careful of that. And overall, it's a neat little car. I wonder if that's actually the license plate that they had and everything when they were kids, when he was a kid. Very cool if it is. And what a cool, like, kind of dedication, you know, to your parents or whatever. Have the car that you kind of rode with them growing up and all that stuff. And look at how tiny this little thing is. It's such a little tiny little car. So cool, though. So very cool. We got all kind of little cars here today. All right. Next is the J collection stuff, which this technically, I guess, is part of that. But let's go ahead and open these up. So again, packaged differently, right? They use a bunch of different packaging methods depending on the series and the car and all sorts of stuff. They go crazy with that stuff, which makes Tarmac Works kind of an interesting brand. You know, looking at them as a brand, it's kind of cool to collect them because it's just such a variety. They don't have like just a variety not only in the cars, but just a variety in packaging, a variety in just all sorts of stuff. So they don't exactly do one thing, which is kind of neat. All right, we get an NSX. It does roll, which I'm expecting all of these to roll. Not the best tooling of an NSX I've ever seen. I will tell you that straight away. And that's what makes me think it's an older tooling. And maybe it originally started its life as a Kyosho. I'm not sure. Made in Bangladesh. I guess that's kind of an interesting thing, too. Was this one made in Bangladesh? Yeah, it was. So, I don't know. The plot thickens a little bit. I'm not sure. It's a roller. It's got decent details. By the way, these are the cheapest Tarmac Works I think you can get, are these J collection cars. So they're not like 100% perfect or anything like that. They're okay. This one does have discs and calipers for brakes back there. I could tell that straight away because of the way the wheels are constructed in the back. Very interesting, though, is like the little tabs on the wheels are not the same size on each wheel, which is kind of weird. This doesn't seem like it was put together with as much care as some other Tarmac Works products, including maybe even this here. This does not say where this one is made, although it may say on the packaging. No, it is made. This one is made in Bangladesh as well. So that's when you're going to find, I guess, the cars that are constructed like that. Very interesting. But yeah, not the best version of an NSX in 1/64 scale, but it's kind of cool. It's got a little charm. Not too bad. All right. This one I got from my buddy Jay in the J collection. He had an extra one of these, and I picked it up from him. I'll get this one out of here. Get this sucker open here. And check it out. So here we have a Sprinter Tirreno. Same deal. Rolls. Feels heavy. Actually, this one does. It's got a little like mark on the top here. Separate piece for that rear wiper. Got to be careful of that. Looks like the front ones are separate pieces as well. So some fragile components to this. And I mean, it looks pretty good. And again, it's definitely reminiscent of a Kyosho. I'm not saying they are Kyosho toolings. They just Something about them sort of feels like they could be, when they very well may not be. This is a pretty good solid model, though. Feels like heavier. It feels higher quality than the NSX does. But looks pretty good. I like this one. Those rims are cool. And yeah, overall, pretty neat car. Pretty decent look for it. Again, there's going to be some imperfections on these, it looks like. Because you got that paint that makes up that. I just noticed that right now. That's not perfect. Or even close to. Looks a lot better on that side than it does on this side. That's too bad. But yeah, that's these J collection cars. It's got me thinking now, where was this one made? This is made in China. All right. Lastly, we've got this Nissan Silvia. So let's go ahead and open up that. So this will probably be more of the same. And it's too bad I didn't have like race, some other Tarmac Works we could have looked at, but maybe one day I'll kind of go like pull out kind of all the weird stuff I got from Tarmac Works and we can look at it at once. That might be neat. So again, J collection, made in Bangladesh, riveted together, metal body, plastic base, and this is definitely Kyosho feeling. Like for sure, it just feels like it. I would say it's not constructed with as much care as some Kyosho was. Like we've got like a headlight there that's kind of sticking out a little bit. It's flush on that side, but not on this side. So that wasn't put in quite perfectly. So it's not as refined. But these are pretty cool. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go after any more of them, but they aren't that expensive. I mean, like, I think I got these for like $6, $7 a piece, something like that. So you can find them cheap if somebody wants to get rid of them. And I guess that's fair. I mean, they're not that great quality, but they are kind of cool. And the fact that you're not getting like a standard run-of-the-mill model. So where else are you going to find someone that makes this car? Maybe Tomoco Limited Vintage might make something like it. You're going to pay a lot more for that, though. And I would say this is acceptable quality. So it does look like there's some heavy stuff in the trunk on this particular model. It's got a little bit of weight back here is what it looks like. If I could just lower the front a little bit, then I think we'd be in business. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think. So this, and because of that, this one doesn't roll quite as well as the others. Interesting. Model of the day for me in there, and this was kind of a weird video for Tarmac, right? Just some different stuff, is probably the Opel Kadett. Probably seems like the more higher quality model, even though it's really the same as these J collection cars. Tanto's pretty cool too. It just doesn't roll, and I don't know. I mean, it's cool. I like the look of it. Nice little static display model, but I would say this thing's the most interesting. I do really like the color on this car, though. It's just not quite as constructed as well. So I don't know. The factory in Bangladesh, I'm going to say doesn't do as high quality work as some of the other ones that Tarmac uses. But then again, it's not bad. And I only got 4 examples. 5 examples, really. And there's little issues here and there. They look a little bit sloppy here and there. But overall, not too bad. All right, you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Which one of these models was your fave? Did you like any of them? Did you pick up any of these cars for yourself when these came out? They came out a while ago. So let me know what you think. And thank you guys very much for watching. Have yourself a great day. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the playlist. There's an import premium playlist is where this video will live. And there's a ton of other content in that playlist that has brands similar to Tarmac Works. So check that out. All right. Thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great day.